I will not run, I'll just exercise indoors. Oh, I see we are live. Let me turn on my light. Yeah, welcome YouTube to this discussion of the Atheist Hangout. Today we are calling the meeting Getting Older. Getting Older. That is the topic of discussion. And some of the subtopics that we will address include ageism, they include the advantages of aging and the challenges of aging. So welcome. What prompted this discussion? The discussion was born out of a debate that happened on our WhatsApp group. There was a debate going on between young people and older ones because each was trying to say why it is better to be young or why it is better to be old or older. Why it is better to be older. So they went back and forth, and I feel like the debate wasn't settled. So we decided to pass it on to Zoom. Now, let's begin with the definition of aging. Aging is different from ageism. Ageism is discrimination. Aging is different. So let's start with defining aging. And let's mention what comes to mind when you hear that word aging. After you define it, what comes to mind? For you, what comes to mind when you hear the word aging? Or you could also mention some stereotypes associated with aging. They might not be what you hold, they might be what other people think when they think about aging. What are some stereotypes? What are some descriptors, some words you can think of that come to your head when someone mentions that word, aging? Right, so let's start the discussion, guys. Please feel free to raise your hands. Great, I see Morioki's hand is up. Go ahead, Morioki.
Okay, thanks, Dorcas. For me, what comes to my mind is you're getting older and you're nearing your sunset years. And then, Dorcas, tell us why women hide their age. Thank you.
Morioki, you have already started with an attack on women. Yeah. So Morioki is saying he thinks of getting older when he hears that word, and he also thinks of the idea of approaching your sunset years. And he's asking why do women hide their age? So we can also answer Morioki's question as we respond to mine, which is what comes to mind when you hear the word aging? Define it first and then tell us some qualities that you think of when you hear the word aging. That somebody says, my neighbor is aging. Well, I'm aging. I must be aging. Or my parents are aging. What comes to mind? What are some stereotypes that you think of? Please don't be shy. Please raise your hands. Let's make this interactive. Good. I see Stano's hand is up. Go ahead, Stano.
So I think I was off. What was the question from Morioki?
Why do women hide their age?
Okay. So I think the women hide their age because of somehow they fear men not run away from them, because men maybe myself included, we love the young women or young girls. So when we find someone is old, sometimes we tend to run away. So maybe that's because the women realize that Masugandadi love the young women, so they try to make themselves a younger, or they can have the makeup to make themselves so young to be able to attract more. So and try to hide their age. So I think that is the case. So about the aging, we regard about somebody is aging when we see is when we are referring is becoming inactive in doing his conjunctives, or maybe is near death, is approaching the end, or disease are now starting to disturb that person. That is where we regard such person is aging, especially from 60 to 90 years. Yeah.
Right. Stano has given us even an age range where that term might start to apply. Anybody else who would like to respond to that question and also Morioki's question? Good. I see El Maestro's hand is up. Go ahead, El Maestro.
I got Muruki's question, but yours, I didn't get it. What was yours?
Define aging. Aging, kuzeeka. Yeah, define that word. And also
Age.
what, yes, aging. And then what things come to mind when you hear that word? What are some of the stereotypes we associate with aging? What are some of the qualities we connect to getting older, right?
Okay. So, okay. For me, on here aging, I just know it is getting old. Getting old, because there's no one who is getting any young. Everyone gets old. But now the stereotypes of getting older, that one of them that I know is there's this stereotype that success, enjoying success, it's better when you get it at a young age and not at an old age. There's this I don't know if Annie, when you enjoy if you have success, or let's say money, if you have money, you enjoy it more when you are young than when you are old. I don't know if it's true. Maybe if I get old, I'll see if the money I may be having, I'll enjoy it or not. But that's one of the major stereotypes I know, and a lot of this network marketing people, they sell that such stereotypes when they are lowering people to join their networks. It's better when you have money at a young age than when you are at an older age. Oh, and then about why women hide their age. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Dorcas can explain to us, because she also does the same. But maybe if I think of one reason, if I think of one reason why women hide their age, maybe I don't know. Maybe they just want people to see them as uh, I admit I don't know, but if I think of one, I'll say if I think of one, but maybe the one that can come into mind is hiding their. They don't want people to call them. You know, when a woman is is 30 years and above, men already start calling them old when they are 30 years and above. Some men already start calling them old. And I don't know the reason as to why they do that. I don't know. But I've heard these things that when a man is 30, when a man is 30, he's starting his prime, but when a woman reaches 30, she's past her prime. Maybe because of such things, maybe I can think of one.
Aha.
Yeah.
That is El Maestro's stance. I think that perspective has gained a lot of clout lately because of the podcasts, especially the podcast bros, people who belong to the male guru category, the alpha male guru group, the followers of the Andrew Tates and the Andrew Kibes of this world. They tell each other that it's a narrative. The narrative, they say that women hit their expiration age at 30, while men are actually just getting into their prime. And actually, I believe a part of it is associated with their ability to have children, because women are always frightened about that age. Hey, don't wait until you're 30. The best time to have kids is when you're in your 20s. Don't delay until you're in your 30s. It will be a challenge, but I believe that's inaccurate. That is still okay for any woman who wants to get kids. It's a myth. It's a myth. But I'll give my reasons on why I think women hide their age. And my son is saying why I also hide my age. Oh, okay, I will reveal my age today, guys. Kutakuwa na a drum rolls moment where Dorcas will reveal her age. Anyway, I see Dave's hand is up. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, Dorcas. So to start with, in the days before we started going to school, all these long years, our girls married, even men, they married very, very young, and they were grandparents by the time they were 35 or something like that, because everybody was marrying young. So we started going to school, but the old system stayed with us. We still expected a girl to be married at 25. Are you going to be married at 25? You are in medical school. You are not going to do that, particularly if you think that your medical school education is better, it's more valuable than getting married. So these things got shifted, but we did not shift our focus. We did not shift our focus with this. So that is one of the problems that I find of defining things. I mean, if I did not go to high school, if I left school at standard 7 or standard 5 or 6, I would be great, but then I would, no, I don't even want to think about it. I will trade all those great grandchildren yeah, for my education, because I know what would come with that so-called great. No, I don't want that. So we have to shift. First of all, we need to shift that focus. Then secondly, we have to say what is defining the age. Is it years, or is it what you do? Is it what your body is saying? Because you can be young and your body is just, your mind is saying something else. But are you old, or are you just a state? Is it a state that Luciavelli can explain to us, the state you are in? And then people will just start assuming that, oh, he's 40, but oh my goodness, he's old. No, he's not old. He has got some things going on. And so, in some jurisdictions, a senior is described as somebody 65. Once you hit 65, you are a senior. Your bus ticket is cheaper. All these things are cheaper. Your glasses are free. Thank goodness now my glasses are free. Yes. So, but your taxes are still the same. You still pay taxes. And then you start getting some old age pension money along with your pension. If you are collecting, whether you are collecting your pension or not, you can delay your pension even when you are 65, but you will be getting old age pension, because that one you do not have to delay. It has nothing to do with anything. It is just the years. You are old, we salute you, you are still living, we give you some money, you continue living. So that can be a definition of that you are a senior. But are you old? Should you be discriminated? Should you be stereotyped somewhere because you are a senior? I don't think so. You can be, people are working. I see people who are older than me working at Walmart. Every day they are there. They are working at Home Depot, selling me, I don't know, doors and handles and nails. So that senior really does not describe anything. It just describes the number, chumvi umekula, the number of years you've been here. Now, why do women hide their age? I will tell you why. If you're feeling whatever age you're feeling, and you're not a minor, you're that age. Sometimes people say that, but when it comes to minors, don't go saying that a woman is as old as they look. That is not. When it's a minor, you're going to jail. Even if she doesn't look like a minor, you are going to jail. So now, at my age, I'm not going to go around telling people out here my age. That is one of the advantages of my black skin. How many advantages of black skin do I have? And why would I destroy one of the advantages that I have? I can always tell the person, I'm sorry, I can't date you. I'm this old. Really? You are that age? Yes, I am. And then I walk away, because I've decided that I'm not going to do that. It doesn't matter what they think. That is the age that I am, and let them admire me from a distance. I'm not going to have anything to do with them, because I understand they will be looking for a younger woman, and they thought I was a younger woman, or their age, and I am not. So it really becomes very difficult, because the white people my age, they really look, trust me, they really look old, and even their walk, even their, so that is one of the advantages that I have as a black woman. I am going to hide the age among the people here. Yeah, thank you. Or was there a question? Was there another question other than why women hide their age?
The other question was the stereotypes or qualities that come to mind when people use the word aging. When you hear the word aging, what are the qualities?
Yes. Yeah. So one of them is that we we are now, when it comes to change and technology, and it is not true. Obviously, we do need the younger people to teach us a few things about technology, but that is one of the things about technology, and also the decline. The mental and physical decline, actually, they can be there, but they also might not be there. It just depends on your genetics. And of course, there's always the one that says that older people stay with the old style. So now that can be true, because sometimes I look. It's only when somebody, younger person comes in and stay with me for a little bit and says, "Oh my goodness, like, how long have you had that chair? Like, what's wrong with the chair? You get rid of it. It's that kind of thing." So you need, maybe older people might need that, somebody to come and discombobulate you, come and upset your life a little bit and bring in some new things. So yeah, I'll admit to that I do need some people to come and occasionally come and discombobulate me and change my technology, and also change the way I view some things. And then we go shopping and bring in some few new things. Yeah. So yeah, there are those. And if I were left to my own designs, I would not see the reason to change some things. Leave my wardrobe alone. They fit well. If they fit well, why would I go and buy something else that is of a poorer quality than what I have? And all these things are based on our long years of saving our money, using our money well, working very hard for it, and also knowing that the old ile chume ya zamani, those are the things are really, they're really good quality. Go get something new. I've had a lot of regrets with the new, particularly some new equipment, washer, dryer, and the fridge. They all broke down in less than a year, and I really regretted that I had given my things to students, because sometimes when you want to change things, you can have the students come in and get yours. They'll come and pick it up, so you don't have to worry who is going to get it from the basement up. They'll come and pick it for free, so it's gone. And then you buy a new one, and it just breaks down as soon as the warranty is spent. It breaks down. So so me as an old person, I'm going to be thinking just like those old equipment, like just let them sit there. They are working. Let them, they are okay. Thank you.
Wow. So many things that you said there which ring a bell. And it's interesting how you brought out the two angles, in that, yes, there are some stereotypes that are indeed true, but there are others that are not. They don't need to necessarily apply to you. We'll delve into that as we go forward. Let me answer those two questions as we think of the next one. The next one is, what are the advantages of aging? What are some of the benefits of getting older? As you think about it, let me respond to the question I asked, which is, what is the definition of aging? Aging, according to the dictionary, there are always several definitions, but there's one that says it's the process of getting older. So that one is a bit neutral. It doesn't tag some strings here and there. Okay, but then there's another one. This one I got it from a biological journal, and it was saying, I'm getting an echo. I think that's Houston. No, you need to mute. Great, thank you. So the definition from the dictionary, not from the dictionary. Oh, actually, this was from Britannica. Okay, it was the sequential or progressive change in organisms that leads to an increased risk of debility, disease, and death. That's a very dark definition, but it's showing that there's a progressive change in the organism that is taking you closer to death and debility. You being debilitated or being disabled, or you having diseases. That is the definition of aging that Britannica gives. I prefer to go with the former, the process of getting older, because that can apply to anyone. People are aging. Even my teenage niece is aging. When I look at her photos, the ones we took when she was 3 years, and now that she's 17, soon to be 18, I see that she's aging. Yeah. But when we use that term, typically we think of it in terms of the seniors, in terms of those people who are in the retirement segment. So that's a definition of aging. the sequential or progressive change in the organism that leads to an increased risk of disease, debility, or death. Or you can think of it as the process of just getting older. Aging. When I hear that word, there are very many stereotypes that come to mind. Some of them might be true, some of them might not be true. There's loneliness. People imagine that the children have left the nest, you are no longer working, you have retired, so you are all by yourself, you're lonely. There's ugliness or unattractiveness, because beauty is often linked to youth. So people assume that when you are aging, when you are older, you have wrinkles, you have sagging body parts, this eyelid sag, this cheek sag, or they hollow out. Then you have creased parts, especially on the face, the hands, and the parts that are exposed to the sun. There's that assumption. It's a stereotype. Yeah. There's the assumption that an aging person, an old person, is not agile. That they are not agile. They're slow. They're slow with their things. Wewe kijana usituharakishe wewe, si tumezeeka. You often hear that. Or they're set in their ways. They are rigid. They don't adjust to things, especially in an industry like maybe tech, where many people need to adjust quickly to trends. It is assumed that older people are not a good fit. Whether or not this is true is up for debate, because I know of one person in our midst. He's called Semakula, who is a tech person, and he does very well. He's got work constantly, and I believe he's over 60. I don't know for sure, but from how he appears, he might be a senior, but he's doing very well. He's thriving in that industry. So these are just stereotypes. Stereotypes are not true. They're not always true. In some cases, they might be, but in others, they might not. So these are just stereotypes. Then there's the issue of sickness. You find that people develop bone problems, knee problems, back problems, organ problems, kidney failure. You have some people having incontinence, adult diapers. In aging countries like Japan, adult diapers sell more than children's diapers because the population requires it. A hearing impairment, of the really old grandma who's always asking you to shout or you come close to her ear so that you can communicate. There are all of those illnesses, arthritis, dementia, Parkinson's, even cancer. All of those are often associated with getting old. And in fact, when we used to be small, we would read storybooks like Cinderella, not Cinderella, the one who was given the apple was who? Snow White. Snow White was given an apple by an old woman who was bent over. That tends to happen over time. Then there's also the stereotype that they have money. They've had time to accumulate their resources and they have money. I have a friend nowadays, she's just dating men in their 50s and over because she wants money. She's been struggling and she wants a soft life. And she's like, these young men her age who are in their early 30s or thereabout, they don't have anything. I want a kakiru. So she's going for the old men who are babas because they have money, they've been accumulating it over time. So there's that stereotype. Of course, stereotypes are not always true. Kuko na watu ni wazee, but hawana kakiru. So there's that. There's also the stereotype of being experienced, that this person has been in an industry for over 30, over 40 years. They're experienced. They know their stuff in that industry. There's a stereotype of being old-fashioned. I think Deve mentioned that. And even that thing of being old-fashioned, I think older people have the benefit of hindsight in that they're looking at all the trends that have come up and they objectively see which one is better. So it's very likely that the most recent thing is not the best thing. So that's why they would go for something older, but that's a stereotype. Then the other stereotype, of course, is being near death. You are nearing your death. And now this one is true, especially depending on the life expectancy of your country. I looked at ours in Kenya. Our life expectancy is 62. Imagine, we die young. It's terrible. We have not conquered some of these things. And one of the leading causes of death, the leading number one cause of death, do you know what it is? HIV and AIDS. Mujichunge, wear the helmet, people. And then the second one is respiratory complications, respiratory and heart complications. So please, you guys take care of your cardiovascular health. Those are some of the leading reasons, leading causes of death. They're the ones that contribute to our early death. 62 is very young compared to the rest of the world. We are dying really early. So if you're in your 60s and you're in Kenya, it is likely that you'll be nearing death. But if you're in another country where the life expectancy is higher, you might not be. But if you are in your 80s, wherever you are, you would be approaching death. Somebody once said that death isn't sudden. It is a gradual winding down of cells that takes place over years and even decades. Yeah, so there's that aspect as well. Those are the stereotypes that come to mind. Now, Morioki asked a question of why do women, I feel attacked, Morioki. Why do women hide their age? I think it's a protective mechanism because ageism is not equal. It doesn't affect the genders equally. Ageism, now the discrimination against somebody based on age, is more prevalent among women than men. Why is this the case? Because women's value is often judged based on how they look. Men's value is often judged on how much money they have made. These are stereotypes. As I said, stereotypes are not always true. You can change your narrative. But on a general basis, society looks at men's value based on their accomplishments. But on women's value, it assigns it to their beauty. And beauty fades with age. Beauty fades with age. So women feel that if they reveal their age and maybe they don't look that age, that their value will diminish because that's how they are judged. Yeah, these are the general perceptions that exist out there. Now, what about myself specifically? Because Maestro singled me out. He's like, Dorcas hides her age. All I can tell you guys, I'm not going to reveal exactly what it is, but I'll give you a range. I'm a millennial. We're in the same bracket with this Maestro. I'm a millennial over 35. That's all I'm going to say. I'm a millennial over 35. Why am I not saying the exact number? Because we have members on our group that are ageist, that attack people based on age. They use some demeaning words. Okay, boomer. Yes, old man. Okay, old man. I see them saying those things, and I don't want to be a target. I don't want to be a target. So I'm just going to leave it there. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. Okay, next question. What are the advantages of aging, of getting older? What are the advantages? as you get older, what are some qualities that would be good that you would want to have? Great. I see Morioki's hand is up. Go ahead, Morioki.
Doctors, as I answer, can I ask David one question? As I answer.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah. You know, I'll just say one word: wisdom. With age, you become wise. Wisdom. Aging is supposed to create wisdom, because the more you live, the more you learn. Yeah.
Is that an answer to my question? What had I asked?
No, I want to ask you a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Why do white people, you say they look old? Why do they look older than people of Afro descent? Because you said white people in your country look old. How come Caucasians look older than people of Afro descent? Then I answered Dorcas that with age comes wisdom. Yeah, wisdom and more understanding because of experience. Thanks.
Okay, Muyuki. Yes, it has to do not just with our melanin, but it has also to do with how the melanin holds the skin, because it is the skin that begins to show our age, because things start deteriorating and everything starts going south. So once the skin starts doing that, then you start looking old. And if you have melanin and your melanin says it's not going to go south, you're going to stay looking less old than somebody out there who is who doesn't have melanin, and therefore their skin starts sagging. And even in Africa, if you want to look, even in your village, particularly in the village where somebody has to work outdoors, the people who have got a fair skin do not fare so well. Just do your own search. The people that have, you will see that their cheeks will have will darken, and it's just some of the things that I used to see when I was young in the village, and I did not know how to associate anything with anything. But you will find out that the people with a fairer skin, particularly if you have to work outdoors, do not fare as well when it comes to aging. So it is just your skin, melanin, and how melanin holds on to the bone and the muscles. It is a complicated thing that Lucevelelli would actually explain to us how those structures work together to conspire to make us remain looking young. Be proud, Black people, or rather be happy. You didn't do anything about it to be like that. Just be happy. Just take it and do it with it, whatever. Have your back, because here we have more people with the back problems, breakages of bones and all that. It is so I think it is much more complicated than just melanin. There could be something else about bone density and Black people and such other things that protect us for our back, and so that people don't here it is very common to see people with their back having bent, even if you are 60 or something and your back has already got signs that you're going to your back is not doing too well.
Right. Okay. Yeah, this might be genetic, who knows? We wish the medical professional was here to confirm or nullify the statement, but I have a feeling that might be the case. Black, don't crack. Yeah. So guys, I've asked a question. What are the benefits of getting older? Morioki has said wisdom is one of them. What else? What else? Because there's no coin that is one-sided. It has two sides. So Oh, I see two hands are up. Great. Let's begin. Since Ndebe has just spoken, let's go to El Maestro, then we'll come to you, Ndebe.
So what are the advantages of getting old? Before I mention the Muriuki, what do you mean by at you someone when you get older you get to wisdom? I think you are confusing wisdom with experience. I don't think wisdom comes with age. I don't think so. I don't think so.
No,
Don't
older.
you hear this
See,
this quote of even fools grow old? Huh? I don't think I don't think I don't think
okay, maybe,
wisdom comes with age.
okay, maybe then
Yeah.
let's say it depends on someone. Then it depends on someone. Some people get wiser, others won't. Because if at this we are saying older and wiser, in school, older and wiser. Those are phrases like that. So I think it depends on
Yeah,
people.
but okay, yeah, it depends on people, but not usually. Not usually. Because no, you can't say that the advantage of getting old is there's no assurance that when you get old you'll get wise. But of course, when you get old, you'll get experience. That is a fact. I don't agree that when you get old you get wiser, because when me some things I hear or maybe the way some old people think, you are you just feel pity for them. Like you always see this radio station, the old people are still the ones who listen to these radio stations, most of them. Because the young people, I don't think they listen to radios. They only listen maybe if it is a podcast or on things on YouTube. But those who listen to radio, the young people, very few. And you see the way these radio stations, they always just trick these old people to say, I don't know, send your money to this I don't know, hash star what, and then you can get I don't know, if you send 100 you can get 500,000. Yes, because these old people, these radio shows know that these old people,
But
they are
El
not in
Maestro,
touch with
they're old school. Yeah, those are old school El Maestro.
yes.
That's the reason. They are old school. So
Aren't they
you can't
old or
blame them.
not? Aren't they old or not? Then you can't say that the older you get, the wiser you get. You can't say that.
But they lacked exposure. They lacked exposure. It's not they lacked
Exactly,
exposure.
exactly. If you are not exposed, if you are, and that exposure comes through what experience. The same goes to religion. In this country or anywhere in this world, the most religious people are the old people. The most who are by these pastors are the old people, not the young people. So I don't think you can say that when you get old you get wiser. It's not usually the case. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it is totally. It is totally not the case. But you can't say for sure that is an advantage of getting old. But experience, that is for a fact. Because if you've done something for a long time, you get experience. You are experienced, and that I can say it is an advantage. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Aha! El Maestro has a divergent view on wisdom. He disagrees with Morioki. Let's see whether others fall in your camp, El Maestro, or whether they fall in Morioki's camp. Thank you. Next is Ndebe.
Yeah. Thank you, Dorcas. Now, I get El Maestro and I also get Moriuki. So let us delink this, like where they are they diverging or are they clashing? First of all, people become wiser. Even a kid, they fall, they trip over something, and they're just learning to walk. They have learned something. So I think that's why it is called the school of hard knocks. You learn it because something knocked you. You made a mistake and it had a hit on you. So older people, we have been to the school of hard knocks a lot of times. And so we have learned something. So we are definitely wiser. But here is where the problem is. You could also be starting to have a mental decline without knowing it, without anybody noticing that your mind is beginning to decline. Or for people who are very smart, they can hide that mental decline pretty well. My friend, I could see that he was having a very hard time with memory, remembering people's names, but that is not unusual. That's not unusual for people to not remember people's names. He was still driving all over Ottawa, and we didn't have any problem. He would, all the time, he would be the one driving. But in time, you notice some things. But if you are not very close to that person, you might not notice it. They can hide it, not hide it, but it can be very well hidden over other smarts, other things that somebody has learned over life, over their life. So those two things can still work together, that from your school of hard knocks, you have learned a few things. But unfortunately, your mental acuity is going down. Then you call this radio station and they tell you that you can make 500,000 shillings from 50 shillings. Now, what is working there? It's a bit of your dishonesty that is working, because after all these years, you know very well that you've never planted maize and ukavuna beans. So I'm just going to say that it could also be their mental acuity is also reducing. But I think it is also their dishonesty that is coming up, because probably somebody that is very, very honest is going to think ati nimepanda mahindi na naenda kuvuna gunia ya maharage, so I think there are a lot of things that are playing there. Maybe that they are playing on their belief that there is a God out there that is ready to shake to shake the heavens for them. I think there is a lot other than just wisdom that is playing in the field of these people that listen to these radio stations. Thank you.
So David takes a nuanced approach to the issue. Pastor Stano, go ahead.
Okay. For me, I think growing old, there is many disadvantages than advantage. For me, I will concur with the Morioki. Advantages, you aren't you get more understanding of life, and also you get more knowledgeable of the things. Yes, what the master is saying is trying to compare the new technology or the newest generation with the old generation. Yes, the old generation are not wiser than us, the new generation, but that does not mean when you are growing, you are not increasing in knowledge. You are increasing in knowledge apart from a certain age there where you can start losing some memory, just the way David have just mentioned. But in fact, when you are growing older, you also increase in knowledge because you increase in understanding, experience, learning some failure, and knowing how to cope to avoid those failure, and also even knowing how to advise others to escape those failure or to get success in their life. So you learn a lot as you grow old, because no one is able to know everything. But as we go on and learning, we get more knowledge by time. So for me, I will concur with the Morioki by saying the way you are going older, the way you are adding more knowledge. And the more you are getting more understanding of the life in terms of finances and in terms of living with the other people. So that is what I will say. But all the others is about the disadvantage. Yeah, thank you.
Aha. So Stano believes aging has more disadvantages than advantages. And that is actually the next question. What are the disadvantages? What are the disadvantages of aging? Before we get to discrimination, before we get to ageism, which is the last subtopic which we will address. So the next one is, what are the challenges, disadvantages of getting old? As you think about it, let me respond to the question, to the previous question, which is advantages of aging. Indeed, I really had to think hard about disadvantages because most people, as Stano said, they just rush to the disadvantages. It has been, being old has been demonized in our society. But that's not true in all societies. In some societies, being old is revered. You are actually regarded as a treasure, an asset to the society. So one of them is what El Maestro said, experience. And let me just emphasize that point more. If you are in a certain profession and you have been doing it for many, many years, chances are that you will become very efficient, very good at it. I remember during our training, our internship, I was at the Kenya Institute of Research and Development, the Kenya Kirdi, I've forgotten even what it means in full, but they deal with research. So I told you guys I did industrial chemistry, and most of the people who study that course tend to work in quality control laboratories. There was this gentleman who was approaching his retirement age, and I remember he told us he had been titrating those samples because there's this thing called BOD and COD, chemical oxygen deficiency, and I think biological oxygen deficiency, where factory gives you its effluent, whatever it discharges, and you check to see the amount of chemicals in it before it discharges it into a river or another water source, because the environment people have certain standards. You have to dilute your effluent to a certain level in order for it to go into those water sources. So they would go to the lab to find out how concentrated the effluent is before and after discharging. And he said he had been doing it for close to 40 years. He could do it in his sleep. He was so efficient. You give him about 100 samples and he will complete them in record time because he's been doing it over and over again. Similarly, when it comes to something like medicine, I prefer a doctor, an older doctor. The young doctor is still learning. Or the young doctor has not performed enough procedures to become proficient at it. Let's say you are giving birth and you need to do it via C-section. So an interning doctor, the doctor who is in his early 20s, mid to late 20s, is going to be learning on you. In fact, there's a friend who told me she got fistula, that discharging of urine, the uncontrolled discharging of urine, because it was a young doctor who worked on her, who was inexperienced. I think that was his second C-section. He had never done it. He had only done it once before. But an older doctor is more likely to do it well because they've done so many of them. That is, of course, assuming that his hands are steady. If his hands have a problem, then then he will be just as dangerous as the younger person. But we're assuming that they are responsible, that they take that oath, and that they should stop doing operations once they realize that their hands are unstable. So yes, experience, you just become more proficient the more you do something. In fact, this was a point that Semakula made for the getting older camp compared to the other camp of Akina Lucheveleli. Lucheveleli was the one representing the other side, so the young side. So Semakula said, I have been coding for decades. Yeah, so I've really improved in it. That's one advantage. Another one is accumulation of wealth. And of course, these things don't apply to everyone, guys. They don't apply to everyone. But there's a higher likelihood compared to of you having accumulated wealth compared to your younger self. Where does this come from? It may come from you inheriting property from your parents who become deceased, or it may come from you saving up or having successful businesses. You've heard of that stereotype where campus girls are looking for older sponsors because of the notion of hypergamy, where women say they want to date up. They want men with money, but their age mates in campus are surviving on pocket money. They don't have anything. So they go to the older men who at least have accumulated something. Maybe they've gone up the corporate ladder and their salaries have increased, or they've started some businesses that are doing well for them. So there's that aspect of accumulating wealth. But as I said, it's not everyone. Yeah, it's not everyone. Another thing is self-acceptance. I think it gets to a point when you are older where you stop trying to please other people. You stop trying to please other people. You realize, you know what, I've reached this age. This is my sunset years. These are my sunset years, and yeah, I just accept who I am. It's always the younger people who are struggling to fit in. We care so much about peer influence, about peer opinions, right? So I think that's another advantage of getting old. You find some old people actually, they are very cocky and very arrogant. They'll say some things that are politically incorrect because they're like, I'm old, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to please anyone. And then another benefit is you have time to pursue your hobbies. That is, if assuming you are in the corporate world and you've retired, or you are employed and you've retired. Of course, there are some people who are self-employed and they continue working until their last breath. Like there's that stereotype of the artisan who dies with his tools. So there are people who are older like that. They work for themselves and they continue working until their dying day. But then if you are employed, the retirement age is 65. Yeah, you're supposed to exit the workforce. And so you have a lot of time on your hands. That can be a double-edged sword. Some people think that time is a problem, but I choose to look at it positively because you can be proactive about it and use it to learn new skills. All this time on your hands. We've heard of grandmas who have learned skating. There was a skating grandma in Finland. I was looking at a documentary about happiness in Finland, and there was a skating grandma. She taught herself how to skate in her retirement age because she had all this time. And then, of course, you see grandmas take up certain hobbies. The knitting is such a stereotype. It's such a stereotype, but it's something to do. You make sweaters, you make scarves, you make hats for people to wear to keep them warm. It's fantastic. So I think that's another aspect and another advantage of getting older. Now, on this one of wisdom, I'm leaning more towards Morioki than El Maestro. I am thinking that, yes, of course, are there old people who are not wise? Definitely. However, I think if you have gone through something, whatever Devil was saying that if life has given you blows and you have learned from it, you're wiser when you repeat it again. Like say you started a business and then it went up, it became successful, then all of a sudden it ended. You will learn lessons from that to apply the next time that you start another business. Yeah, you just accumulate a lot of knowledge, because what is wisdom? Wisdom is application of knowledge. So if you've accumulated knowledge in a certain area, then you are more likely to apply it in the next instance and you'll be successful. So yeah, that's what I think about advantages of aging. Now let's move to disadvantages. Disadvantages. What are the challenges of being an old person? What are the challenges? Welcome. I see Nan is here with us. Welcome. I see Kalia has also joined us. Welcome to the discussion. Great. Morioki, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Thanks, Dorcas. I'll say body starts to fail, it becomes slow, and you might have regrets of the past. Yeah, maybe you could have done this and you didn't do it. So thanks.
Aha. And Morioki, I would like you to keep that in mind when we talk about solutions. You can start brainstorming of how do you curb regrets, how do you curb the body failing, if at all it is possible. Start to think of those solutions as we proceed to El Maestro. Go ahead.
Of course, the most obvious one is the looks and the looks fade, or your appearance. It starts to just fade. Maybe it starts to not look attractive to people. And also, Muruki has talked about the body getting weak. Has he talked about the body getting weaker, or
Yeah, I mentioned failure. The body starts to fail.
Yes,
yeah,
but you
the
can
body starts
expound
to
on it.
fail, and the body starts to get weak, and also it starts getting susceptible to diseases. Maybe the cells get weaker, and you become susceptible to some diseases. And if that disease, if you don't keep yourself healthy, any disease can just come out of nowhere and it takes your life. Yes, these are some of the. Maybe another one can be what? Mm. From let me not talk about antinatalists, but
No, El
I
Maestro,
don't
talk
know.
about them. Those people who terrorized us on the group. I'm so tired of this antinatalists. Talk about them and old age.
Okay. From an antinatalist point of view, Smoruki said you might end up regretting. You might end up regretting not doing things that you could have done when you are young, but because of some, I don't know, for some one reason or another, you just said you won't. It comes with some regrets. Yeah, some regrets can hit you hard. An
Right.
example is someone who refused to, who said he won't have a child, but when he gets older, when he gets old and he realizes, oh, I made a big mistake, but it's too late. Yeah.
Aha. You brought a very interesting angle there on regretting things that you can no longer do. You know, sometimes hindsight gives you a change of heart, especially when something is inaccessible to you. You tend to brag when you have choices, but when the choice is removed, you're like, where? I wish. Anyway, thank you, El Maestro. Next is Ndeve, and then we'll have Kalia after Ndeve. Go ahead, Ndeve.
Yeah, thank you. So, so as we age, I don't know. Yeah, nobody knows where, as you age, what will hit, when the pain will come, when the inability to walk, or when the arthritis will come. But some of these things might come, but not to everybody. Like, it's not everybody who catches gout. And at what age do you catch gout? And who will decline cognitively, and who will die with their brain very clear, who will go get social isolation, because you could have children but still have loneliness, have social isolation, because the kids don't come to see you. And if they come to see you, you can't have a conversation with the grandchildren because they don't speak your language. And in it, hey, there are things, there are things that you will only experience them when that time comes. So, for example, I once worked in a nursing home. You know, I survived. Yeah, I survived those jobs for a couple of years, and you see things. Now that is where you see things. You see adult diapers. You see all these kind of things. You know, you see every kind. You see someone needs to be taken for a walk. They can't go on a walk for themselves. The family has to hire you, which is okay with me, to go for a walk with them. That is very all right. But you're still alive, and your family has to do some of these things for you. And you hope that your family will come through for you, but some family does not. But hopefully you will not be in a cognitive situation to know that they did not come through for you. So yeah, so these are some of the difficulties, and we already did mention technology, but there are some other just down to home situations that, okay, your mind is okay, but your body is not okay. So you cannot take the steps, take the stairs in your own house. So they either have to take you out of your house, or rehabilitate or remodel the house to suit your changes or your abilities or inabilities to do things. I'm not even going to go to appearance because it has already been mentioned. And so those are some of the things. And some people, as we grow older, some people fear death. Good thing that we are atheists and we have nothing to fear. We have nothing to fear even in death. When it comes, it will come. So some people, and you will be, we've already joked about this again and again that it's actually people who have a hope of heaven that are afraid of death. Well, go figure. Now, one other big situation that people face as they grow old is losing loved ones. And the worst thing, of course, for parents is their children should go before them. And some people have seen many of their children go before them. So aging has got that knife turning, or is it a knife, or is it irony? That your sister, your mother, your father, they are all gone, and then you start losing your children. So beside being discriminated and all that, now, and people, if you live long enough, you could start having financial strain, because maybe the nursing home has consumed so much of your the money that you had, that you are beginning to have financial concern, but you can only hope that your cognition will have gone by the time your money is gone. Isn't that beautiful? That as your cognition is gone and your money is gone, there's nothing to worry about. And I remember my friend, and he did not give me power of attorney because he has two sons and the ex-wife. So we used to discussed it a lot, but of course they cannot take my word for it. He just used to say that I hope somebody can if something like this happens to me, somebody can put a bullet in my head. But who is going to do that? Who is going to make that decision to do what he thought he wanted to do? I said, you have to write it down. Well, he never did write it down, and now he can't even tell his son he's his son. And he says, I look familiar sometimes, and sometimes he can tell, but yeah. So these are some of the things that you hope that if ever you are going to run out of the necessities of life, your mind is also not there to know which one is which. But I could leave you all with a question. Which would you like to go first? Your physical acuity or your mental capability? If you had rather, if you could choose, which would you rather lose first? Your mind or your physical capabilities? Thank you.
Right. So that's a question from Deve. As we respond to the first question, which is, what are the disadvantages of getting old? Deve has also asked us, which would we prefer losing first, mental acuity or physical capability? Next is Kalia. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm sorry I joined late. I don't know if you can hear me. Dorcas, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, in answering to Ndeve, I think that's a tough question because both of them, they have their own disadvantages. So I would not like to be in that position. I really want to have both my body and my mind intact so that I can have that consciousness to continue enjoying life. On the disadvantage of getting old, I think most of them have been mentioned. But I think the other thing that we also tend to underrate, depending on your position in society, you are going to lose relevance. As an old person, you are not going to have the same say because there's this new young generation that is kind of pushing you out. You can imagine right now in our country, we are talking about old politicians, old civil servants. It's like these people are just occupying space there. They should just go and leave the young people now to take those positions. So there is that aspect of kind of losing the say and relevance. Even within the family, you will not have the same say, like when you are productive. When it reaches that time, if you have even some wealth, some people will look as if you are kind of standing in their way for them to enjoy that wealth. So some of them will even wish that you just die so that you can leave that wealth for the children to enjoy. So I think that's another disadvantage. Yeah, so I think that one now depends on your position in society, because there are some people who are old, but they still have a lot of influence. But of course, that is maybe for the minority, for those who have been able to accumulate a lot of resources and make a name for themselves. But for the rest of the people, we can even see some of them have been neglected. No one is consulting them. So I think that's also a disadvantage of being old. Thank you.
Aha, you brought out another element which perhaps many of us had not thought of. Now, please keep in mind all of those disadvantages. We will revisit them when finding solutions. How do we cope with some of those disadvantages? But the next question that we ought to answer is ageism, age-based discrimination. How does it occur? What do you understand? First of all, what do you understand by ageism, age-based discrimination? And how does it occur? Have you experienced any sort of ageism yourself, or has someone close to you experienced ageism? That's the next question. As you think of the answer, let me respond to that last question on the challenges or disadvantages of getting old. So yes, all of you have mentioned most of the things that I thought about. Let me add the idea of missed opportunities. Because of a negative attitude towards older people. If you write in your resume or on your linked profile that you did a certain project in 1980 or 1990s, most people will look at that negatively. They will think, this one is too old to get into our organization. So there are people who will not give you the chance to serve, even though you are capable. You are capable, and maybe you've not even been affected by some of those physical conditions. So there's that aspect. Then there's also the aspect of being despised or stereotyped as old. I see it on our group. In fact, if some of those keyboard warriors watch this video today, this is a call to action to you guys. Please stop it. You're being ageist, you guys. Please stop it. I've observed that when some guys are arguing with each other, like Morioki revealed to us, he's very proud. He displays his age. He says he's 50. So when he revealed that, there are some people who are close to a half of his age on the group. In fact, as I told you guys, I think on average, the men in our group are around 25, 24. That's the average age of the men on our group. They're really young, really young. It's a Gen Z community. So you find that this young person is arguing with Morioki, and instead of attacking Morioki's idea, they attack his age. They say, you old man, shut up, old man. Okay, old man. You know, there are people who insult you because they perceive you as old. You know, they have that negative mindset. Then there's also the aspect of being invincible. Invincible, in that people start to assume when you are old that you don't matter, you are not there, your opinion is of no consequence. It's like you don't represent the modern generation. Let's hear from the young guys. No, you're not a good fit here. So it can feel like you're essentially not wanted, you're not welcome, and that the only place you should be is at home in the village farming some cows. So there's that stereotype. Then there's also the process of taking advantage of older people. In Kenya here, we have the problem of femicide that occurs through witch hunting. In Kisii, especially, in Kisii and some parts of Western Kenya, like Luoland, you find that someone is accused of being a witch, and then people go ahead and lynch her. People go ahead and lynch her. I'm getting feedback from you, Stano. Please mute. Thank you. Yeah. So I was talking about witch hunting, and what happens. In fact, there was a documentary done about this. I was supposed to go and watch it, but I got busy. I usually get notifications from Kenya Buzz on the goings on in the city. So there was there was that phenomenon that was happening in Kisii a lot, where a young man sees a widow, an old widow, who has a lot of property. So what they do is they accuse the old woman of being a witch, and then they lynch her. They lynch her to death, or they burn her, or they scare her off the property through physical violence. So the poor old woman leaves the place, and then this young guy comes and takes over the property. All because they were accused of witchcraft. And as I said, when we did that discussion, that topic of witchcraft, I believe there's no such thing as witchcraft, but there are people who believe in witchcraft and they use it to take advantage of other people. So that is one of the harms caused by witchcraft, but it rides on the idea of viewing old people as weak and unable to defend themselves, that they don't deserve, that they don't deserve the right to defend themselves. So there's that aspect. That's a disadvantage. I feel also another disadvantage is rigidity. Rigidity. I mentioned this when I was talking about some stereotypes. I think there are many people, there are many older adults who are set in their ways, and it's very difficult to change their minds. I remember listening to Pink. I don't know if some of you are fans of rock, of soft rock. So Pink is a soft rock artist, and it was a concert. So I was reading through the comments, and there was somebody who is a baby boomer, and she said that she used to be an avid fan of rock music, classic rock music in the 70s. But then she hated the trajectory of music in the 80s. She hated how rock was being played in the 80s. So from that time onward, up to, I think I watched that concert last year. Pink was having that concert last year. Up to 2023, from the 80s, she stopped listening to any new music. She was just listening to music from the 70s and before, because she did not like the trajectory of music. So now you're left behind. No, you're not keeping up with things. So, of course, that's not true for everyone, but you find that, yeah, there are, as people get old, they just stop keeping up with the new trends and with new goings on around them. They stick to how things were done, yet they've been changing. Kenya is a different country. If you were in your prime in the 70s in Kenya, and now you're living at this moment, if you stopped learning new things, unfortunately, it's like you were living in a different country altogether. So much has changed. So yeah, there's that aspect as well. Right. So that's what I had to add on to all what you guys have said. We will revisit the solutions as we end the meeting. But the second last question we are addressing is ageism. Ageism, age-based discrimination. Okay? Ageism. What do you understand by ageism? And how does it occur? How does ageism occur? How do people discriminate against others based on age? Has it ever happened to you or someone you know? And remember, as we said, everybody ages. You can find yourself in a situation where you are the oldest person, even though on absolute terms you're not an old, but you're not a baby boomer, but you can find yourself in that situation. So how does age-based discrimination occur? Have you ever experienced it or someone close to you? Great. I see El Maestro's hand is up. Go ahead.
Before I continue, I think I would like to also add something to that, the last point, Dorcas, you said about the old people not keeping up. There's a guy I know, he went to I don't know which office, which government office. He got a job. I don't remember which government office. So he is a friend to my friend. So he was now explaining that when he got that job, he wanted to make changes and people to at least to use this new technology, these things that can make work easier. But you know what the old people told him? Unataka tukose kazi. You want us to so ukianza kutumia technology unataka si tufanye kazi gani? Because I need the old people, they didn't want to keep up with the new technology. They just wanted to remain manual, even if it is slower. It is slow, but they just want to continue with the same old methods, the old manual methods. So and when you mentioned that point, it's I remember that thing that this guy was saying. He came with new ideas to that office, but the old people tell them, unataka si tukose kazi. He stopped there. He didn't want to lose his job. He stopped there and he just went with whatever the old people do there. He just continued with the trend. Maybe he said maybe he can wait for them to retire, then he can implement the new ideas. So what are the old age discriminations? So I mean the old based discriminations, for me, I don't think I've ever had one before. I've never gone through one before, but maybe I'm trying to think of a certain way where people can be discriminated based on their age. Maybe yeah, okay. Maybe people can see someone is old and they assume that he's not up to date or up to task with new trends or new methods or modern methods of solving problems. Maybe someone can be discriminated based on that, and they can miss an opportunity. But for me, I've never such has never occurred to me yet.
Aha. Okay, so he has mentioned work, and that's a very interesting example of how this issue plays out, the issue of being rigid, not keeping up with trends and developments. Great. Next is Murioki.
Okay, thanks, Jokers. I don't know if this counts. When we were young, we were kids at that time. Then our grandmother, we used to sumbuana with her a lot. So I don't know if that's discrimination. No, it's like both kids. She's old, and so young. But we had so many issues with her because she's behaving like a child sometimes. So we get annoyed with her. We avoid her. Such things. Yeah, we even make fun of her. You laugh at her, you tease her because you're also young. So I don't know if that counts as discrimination. I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me. Kids who are ignorant can make fun of old people, tease them, avoid them, such things. Yeah. And then for Doka's question, physical or mental, for me, they're both important. If you lose one, there's a problem. Thanks.
Aha. That is Morioki's take. In fact, I've also remembered I did not answer that question. For me, I would rather physical. Leave my brain intact. Oh my gosh. I am absolutely terrified of going mental. No, I want to have awareness of my environment. I would rather be on a wheelchair. I would rather need moving around, assistance for mobility, but my brain is intact. For me, that's what I would go for. Yes. Is there any other person on ageism, age-based discrimination? How does it?
Does it count as a discrimination? Kids. Does it count as the
yes.
kids?
Yes, as long as you are making fun of, you are demeaning someone based on whichever quality, it is an ism. So if you're demeaning someone based on their color, that is racism. If you're demeaning someone based on their sex, that is sexism. If you're demeaning someone based on their age, it is ageism. So yes, if you are making fun, making jokes, derogatory jokes, yes, it is.
But kids, Doka's kids we were young, were like 10, 11, 12, who were kids.
Those ones are very much, those ones have reached the age of reason. They can know. If you teach them appropriately, if you teach them respect, they wouldn't do it. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. No excuse. Anyway, next is Ndeve and then Kalia.
El Maestro, I wonder if El Maestro has not met the Gen Zs and the Gen Zs and how they welcomed or not him in their group. Yeah, try that. I definitely, yeah, we do find ourselves not being able to fit in some groups because just because of how their thought processes and where they are in their thought processes. That I don't know if it is ageism or it is just that your graph is in a different place and their graph is in a different place. And the other thing was about how we interact with our, particularly the grandmothers. Usually it is the grandmothers who are there. The grandfathers are long gone. And I remember we loved her. I mean, she was a lovable human being, and we wanted her to jump rope with us. I mean, and she looked at us and she said, "You will grow old." Yeah, yes, we will grow old. Yes, that she can't jump rope. No, I don't think she could jump rope. Yeah, so that is that is how you have to be open-minded, how you view things, and in hoping that your mind is the last thing to go. You have to remember that you will have to see how your caregivers treat you, because you will be able to see everything. You will be able to notice every. I have seen the experience in retirement homes and nursing homes, you see a lot of things, even if your client is okay, but your client still lives there. So you observe, you see things, you see how people treat each other, you see how family treat people. So if your mind is gone, then yeah, if your mind is sharp, you can see what is going on, then you hear this person make comments about either the family or about the caregivers, and you think to yourself, maybe your mind shouldn't be this sharp. I mean, so, but it's something to think about. For me, it is something that I think about, not because I can do anything about it. Oh yes, I can do something about it. Something called euthanasia. So yeah, it is something to think about, because either way, if your mind is not acute, you are not aware, you don't know how you are being treated, it will not be good. If your mind is sharp, but it is your body, you physically have to be moved into bed and out of bed, and the people bruise you or something, they are not very careful handling you, you'd rather not be knowing what is going on, but you know what is going on. So it is just a situation for somebody to think about and think if you have options to think about them. Okay, thank you.
Aha. Now, David has brought in another angle, which I'd like the members to comment on as we also talk about ageism, as you respond to the first question. This issue of death and dying decently, or choosing how you die. What do you think about it? Because as we said, when you get older, death is imminent. If you're in your 80s, you will definitely have to think about death. So ask yourself, how would you like to die? Would you just wait for natural processes to kill you? Or would you like to take it in your own hands? Would you like to give power of attorney to somebody to do something about it? Yeah, how would you like to die? Because that's definitely something you need to confront when you are an older person. But we are still responding to age-based discrimination or ageism. How does it occur? Kalia, please go ahead.
I'd like some guidance, because is ageism just affecting old people, or is there also reverse ageism which affects young people? Are we
Yes.
discussing the one which affects old people, or
No.
also for the young people?
Okay, we were generally tilting towards older people for the discussion for other things, but for ageism is unique in that it can cut across both ends of the pendulum. It can affect young people, it can affect old people, so it's okay. You can address any as long as it's ageism. Just mention it.
Okay, I'll briefly touch on the reverse ageism. I think that was very apparent during the Gen Z demonstrations. There's this perspective that most old people, I know that sounds also, it's like I'm practicing ageism at the same time, but there's this perspective that the people who are younger are not hardworking, they're just lazy. There's a stereotypes that is there for the generations which has kind of not gone through the struggles that the previous generations went through. And there is the perception, even in the workplace, in society in general, that these people have a soft life. And sometimes because of that, there is some kind of lack of understanding of the challenges that young people go through, to a level that someone would say, for people who are even working, maybe not working in the formal employment, there's the aspect of thinking that these people are just sitting down. They don't want to go out there. and yet society has changed right now. So I think that is also another aspect of ageism that we can see in society. And I think even the reverse aspect of it has its relevance in society, because we have this perspective of the older people are also looking down on the younger people, and the younger people are looking down on the older people. So I think that was an issue that I saw when I looked at the topic of ageism. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. It is a two-edged sword that affects everyone. Whenever you just dismiss an individual based on their age, that's a problem. In fact, you've reminded me of a friend who was in his early 30s when he was seeking a contract worth 10 million from a certain group of businessmen. And when he went there initially, they were like, no, you're too young. We cannot give you all this money and you're just by yourself. This young man, no. So the next time he came back, he told them, oh, I'm not the senior partner in the firm. There's a senior partner. So you'll not just be working with me. So the second time he came back for the interaction, for the meeting with those businessmen, he hired a friend, an old person in his 50s, in his late 50s, to act like his business partner so that he could convince those businessmen to give him 10 million, a 10 million worth contract. And it worked. So he was affected by ageism, but as a young man, because those old men thought, no, this young guy, he can't have the experience that we seek. Yet he had done many other projects in that line. So thank you. Let me also mention mine, and then we'll go to the last thing, which is how do we cope with aging? That is the last question. Now, age-based discrimination. Somebody, an ageist, an anti-ageist activist defined it this way. She said, ageism is anything that keeps older people from being valued and fully contributing to the society. But I would add here, now that Kalia gave that point, it's not just older people, but anything that keeps someone from being a valid and able and a valued and productive member of society based on a stereotype of age. So it could be young or it could be old. Now, this is different. Ageism is different from aging because it's discrimination, right? How does it manifest? We see it in the health industry, where you find that health workers don't respond to older patients' complaints. If an older patient says that they have pain, they have pain in their back, or they're struggling with something, one thing or the other, the health worker might dismiss it because they're like, this person is old. But they deserve attention. They deserve relief from their symptoms, whether or not they're old. Because you don't tell a young person who is experiencing pain, it's just pain. They do something about it when it's a young person. So they should do something about it when it's an old person. Otherwise, that is discrimination. At the workplace, that one is very much there, especially in fast-paced industries. Industries like journalism, industries like marketing or tech, IT, computer science, computer engineering, etc. Those industries are fast-paced, where you need to keep track of new developments. And there's always the assumption that old people don't keep up with trends. So as I said before, yes, it might be true that some old people are set in their ways, But then there are others who are not set in their ways. They are regarded as old. And by the way, even that term is very expansive. It could mean someone who is 60, anywhere between 60, so for some people 50, anywhere between 50 to 90. You know, there are people who live until they are 90 years of age. So imagine for 40 years of your life, you are regarded as a nobody. That would be tragic. Yeah. So somebody who is in their 50s, that person is still a very productive person. They might still have very many ideas in their minds. I put it to you, some of the greatest innovations have been done by 50 or 60-year-olds. For instance, Origin of Species, written by Charles Darwin, was done in his 50s. And he has changed the way we understand the world. Yeah. So if he subscribed to that notion that you are unproductive, that you are cognitively useless when you are in your 50s, we would never have known about evolution. So I think we shouldn't write off people based on that stereotype. We should give them a chance. We should test them to confirm whether or not they are equal to the task. Take the example of Biden and Trump. I found that that topic of ageism came up during the debate. Some people were claiming, oh, for Biden it was ageism, but I was like, no, it was not ageism, because honestly, we could all see it. He was not equal to the task. He had experienced cognitive decline, and he was not responding to things the way they were supposed to be. He was very slow. He looked like he was in another time zone. Like it was really a bad performance during the Trump-Biden debate. So for him, it wasn't ageism when he was removed from the Democratic Party ticket. However, and in fact, that can be contrasted to the fact that Donald Trump was I think Donald Trump was just 2 years younger than Biden. But Donald Trump was cognitively capable. So the Americans, what they need to be doing before they float a candidate to represent the parties is to conduct a test, a cognitive test, especially if somebody is within that range, in the 80s or late 70s or 70s, and there's that challenge, that possibility that they might have been cognitively impaired, then you need to conduct a test to find out whether they are capable. So if they're capable, then go ahead and give them a job. But if you just assume that just because somebody is in their 70s or just because somebody is in their 60s, I cannot give them this position, you are engaging in ageism. You are denying them an opportunity when they are capable of doing the job. So you shouldn't rely on stereotypes. You should give everybody a chance to prove that they can do the job. So we see it there. We also see it in social environments, how people interact with each other. We see it on social media. There was this phrase going around, okay, boomer. Whenever an old person says something that you disagree with, you're like, yeah, but you're old. Okay, boomer. They would dismiss them. And it went viral on TikTok a lot. I think this is one aspect of discrimination that society somehow finds it to be okay, which is tragic. We see it also in terms of jokes. Many older people are the butt of jokes, and sometimes it is even internalized. I hear old people making fun of themselves, and that just adds to the negative attitude that we have towards them. There was this guy who was saying that when he was young, he was working out to have a six-pack. Now he works out to look decent when he removes his shirt with his better half. At when they have a candlelit dinner and he removes his shirt, his wife goes off, turns off that candle. No, 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 no. You are a danger to my eyes. And then there was this one at the when he was younger, he used to get an injury because he had an incident. You know, he played football and he got hurt. And then when he was in his 40s, the injury from his childhood came back. But then in his 50s, he gets injuries from watching football. Yeah, self-deprecation. Then one last joke. We are not supposed to encourage this, but this was too good. That he ruptured his back, and what was he doing? I ruptured my back. What was I doing? Was I climbing a mountain? No. Was I wrestling an alligator? No. I was putting in eye drops. Yeah. So unfortunately, these jokes, what they do is they contribute to the negative perception of all people. And even the people who are making these jokes when in their 50s, obviously you can still do your eye drops, and obviously you can remove your shirt without your partner blowing out the candles. But I think it's just contributing to that negative perception of older people. Yeah. So, final question as we wind up. You can even give your closing statement as you respond to that question. How do we cope with these negative aspects of aging? Yeah, let me remind you of some of them, the ones you mentioned. Imminent death, how do we cope with that? Loneliness, or being a burden to your loved ones. Financial strain, regrets. This one, Morioki and El Maestro mentioned it, relationships. Deteriorating looks. Your looks start to diminish. How do we cope with that? Is there a way of coping with that, or should we just accept? Losing relevance, being old-fashioned or set in your ways. And there was also being replaceable, taking up space where young people perceive you as somebody who's denying them from an opportunity. And of course, ageism, losing opportunities, losing work opportunities because you are old, even when you are capable, especially when you are capable. So yeah, how do we cope with some of these challenges of being an old person? How do we deal with them? Then you can give your closing remarks. You can give your closing remarks as you respond to that question. Yes, Morioki, go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Talkers. You know, these keyboard warriors, they're really letting us down. These keyboard warriors. Now, a group like SAS-K, as we age, can be very helpful to form a team. As we age, we can still be bonding. So that will kill loneliness. You know, forming groups like now, so that as we age, we are still together. You know, so that will kill loneliness. And also, exercise. These are martial artists, these Chinese, Japanese martial artists. I noticed when they are old, they can do somersaults, they can do backflips. You see, he has white hair, but he can do he's like a teenager. So I think martial arts can really help you, because these people, they do things like they're still young. Even women, they move their bodies like they're small girls. So exercise, martial arts can help a lot in the body being fit. Yeah, so thanks.
Right. Actually, it's not just martial arts, but exercise in general. If you exercise continuously in your life, I believe you will be you will age gracefully. Kalia?
I think Muriuki has said something which is important. Investing in community is something that is very important because, you know, not just for the subject of ageism, but even in life. Because most of these things, you realize that the people who are aging are many. It is not just a few. It's not like a minority or a few people who are aging. So there's always a network of other people who are who are going through the same challenges. So forming that community is important. But I think also in terms of family, if if someone has decided to go that way, I think it is also worth noting that having a family is also one of the ways of having that element of community. And I think also accepting, because one thing that even as skeptics we know is that to change the world, sometimes it's not as easy as we like to think. It is important for us to accept that as we age, there are some things that we are not going to continue to grasp. There is a way that we are going to be old-fashioned. There are those things that we have to accept that with age, we are not going to be in touch with most of the things that maybe the younger generations are keeping up with. So I think also practicing that mindfulness and accepting your place in society and having fun with it. I think even the jokes that you read are part of those self-deprecating, whatever. I think it is also part of, you know, accepting that the challenges that you are going through, making them light, because I think it is part of integrating and reclaiming. I think the word is reclaiming that aspect of aging and having that awareness that as time goes, old age is drawing near to us. Yeah, so I think even as we discuss this subject, for me, it is that awareness that it is inevitable. Old age is inevitable, and the society has changed right now. It is not like those days that maybe grandparents, extended families used to live together. Right now, we are starting to talk about old, naitwa nini, hizi homes. We are starting to talk about them in the context of the African or the Kenyan context, because those are things that we used to think maybe the white people are the ones who can afford. But right now, it is reaching to a place where the demand even for those homes is going to go up. So I think also putting your finances in order is important so that when you reach that age, you can be able to go there because the community is also there in those homes. Yeah. So I think that is what I have to say. And yeah, old age is coming surely one day. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Old age is coming, just the way I told Ndeve, winter is coming in Canada. They expect winter to come very soon. So it's inevitable that the seasons have to change in their country. It's the same thing with everyone. Every human being has to age. Unless, of course, you die young because of some illness or an accident, you will eventually age. We just have to come to terms with it. Thank you so much, Kalia, for that. And especially that aspect on nursing homes, yeah, that has become a new phenomenon for us here in Kenya. Great. Next is Ndeve.
Yes. So I think how to cope or how to be is to know that now you are released from some situations and you enjoy that. And that is how the confidence comes, self-confidence comes up. And we have to draw on that self-confidence and knowing that we've been released from some burdens and we have some other burdens, and then just carry on life the way we've always carried on. And yeah, and know particularly when you meet ageism, just deal with it face, like head on, because you have now confidence. Like, what can happen to you? Like if you are 80, you don't have a job that you can lose if you rebel and say that, no, don't call me an old person or something like that. What can you do? Can you lose your job? No, you are 80 or you are 90 or you are 100 or whatever you are. So I think it is to face things head on, probably even be braver, be more capable to express yourself, to say your thing. I think this is what I learned as I grew older. And Canada is going to be necessary. You are forced. Well, you have to learn to express yourself. And the better you express yourself, even in a situation where, let's say, you are returning something to the store, or you have got what do you call it? It's not an argument. You have you are expressing what happened to you so that you can get your right. You are looking for your rights, or you are looking for a situation to be rectified. I learned that, and I learned from observation. I learned that the better you express yourself and you are firm, you're not shouting, you are not insulting anybody, you are firm that this is what happened, and this should never happen to a human being, and whatever words that you use, the better results that you get. And so as we grow older, learn to express yourself, learn to put your side out there so that somebody you can get the help that you want, or you can get the solution that you want. And of course, that comes with suggesting some solutions and definitely being firm. You realize very quickly in Canada that being nice, or rather being polite and not putting your situation out there, it just doesn't work. But it is how you put it. For years and years, I was with somebody that always just gets his side that he's looking for. He's totally it's unfortunate that he's very, very polite, but don't underestimate that politeness, because you are going to do exactly on the other side of not in the other side, the person that is on the other side of the counter, they are going to do exactly what he wants. And sometimes I would start my argument and he hit me and say, that's not, he just hits me and says, that's not the way to get what you want. Start again. Like, go reorganize yourself, polite, very firm, offer some solutions that this is what happened, but this is what should have happened. And all this time, sometimes I would listen and I say, lady or mister, you have no chance. You're going to do exactly as he said, and they will do what he says. So yeah, so you learn as you grow older. Maybe I think he probably learned as he grew older. He's almost 10 years older than myself. So I think he learned living here in Canada that long, that this is how you're going to grow old here. I think in Kenya, you're also going to learn how you're going to be growing older with the Gen Zs, and those guys are tough. I saw that they are really tough because they think exactly the way I've seen people here think. They are going to put you in a situation where they are going to use all the armor that they have, and they have a lot of armor. So yeah, I hope you learn how to grow old with them, and thank you.
Indeed, we must learn how to live with each other in intergenerational spaces. It's inevitable. You come to SAS-K, and you can't expect that SAS-K will just have Gen Zs. We will have millennials, we'll have Gen Xers, we'll have baby boomers. in our midst, and we must all get along. Or you can go to a workplace and you find that our workplace has all those 5 generations. So people have to learn how to cope or how to interact with each other, how to bring out their strengths. Next is Morioki.
Yeah, thanks, Dorcas. In the part of regrets, I think if something didn't happen, it wasn't supposed to happen. Like, for example, this children home visit, I'm so disappointed in it, but there's no point of regretting. The way it went was like we learned a lesson, so no need for regretting. We learned a lesson, and it didn't go as planned. So just for regrets, if something went the way it went, just to go that way. So just move on. So regrets have no room. There's no room for regrets. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Morioki. So we were to give our final statement. Whoever spoke, I hope that was your final statement, because we are finishing up. We are winding up. So I'll give mine. If there's somebody else, please raise your hand or forever hold your peace. I'll give mine, and then we'll call it a night. Now, let me even turn on my light kidogo. How do we cope with the challenges of aging? I think on looks, I think we attack that using 2 strategies. One is accepting who you are, psychologically anticipating these changes and accepting them. But also, there are a few things you can do to still maintain that youthful appearance. You've got all these people who are trending on social media, and that this person, they say she's 70, but she looks 40. Somebody is 50, but they look 30. And they actually took steps to get to that outcome. So those steps are usually lifestyle changes, the ones I recommend. There are other people who do the triple P, which I call plastic surgery, pills, and what was the third P? I forget what the third P was, but plastic surgery, pills, and potions. Yeah, and potions or creams. Okay, those ones, I think they're not sustainable. I think they do more harm in the end. You've heard of Madonna and what she's become of late. She looks like a clown. Some people were calling her a reincarnation of the character in Chainsaw, that horror movie. Imagine, so mean. But it's because Madonna has refused to accept the fact that she's getting old. She's fighting it and resisting, doing all those procedures on her face, Botox injections, fillers, and now she looks like a clown. So I think those methods, plastic surgery, the pills and the potions, the creams, those ones are just ways for the capitalists to make money. They're not sustainable. The ones that I would recommend, and of course, those ones work still within reason. There's no way you can reverse aging by 4 decades, but within reason. And they include lifestyle choices. Avoid alcohol, avoid cigarettes. By the way, cigarettes are really, really bad. They're really, really bad for your skin and for your organs. They cause so many chronic conditions. So please quit smoking if you are a smoker. Avoid stress. Excessive stress causes cell death. And then now the cell death manifests as the signs of aging. Avoid not having enough sleep. You need to be resting for preferably 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours a day. And then, of course, what Morioki said, exercise, remaining active. I cannot stress that enough. There's a guy, I used to live in Kasarani. I would meet him running in the middle of the day. He's dressed in athletic attire. gray from head to toe, hata tule tu malaika twake tuko white. I wonder hata zile nywele za pale yes, ziko white. But he was gray all over. He was white. He was white haired, but he was so fit. He would run like I couldn't even keep up with him. He would do circles around me when it came to his fitness. I know of a ballroom dancer who was making moves on X Factor, that talent show on the internet. She's a ballroom dancer in her 80s. Ballroom, doing those maneuvers, at 80 because she stayed active. Yeah, lifestyle choices. Also, what you eat, avoiding cholesterol. Cholesterol is also a problem for the body, and anything that causes excess or that causes weight gain, obesity, is not good. Ensure that you eat a lot of vegetables and fruits in your diet. And actually, just maintain a balanced diet and watch the quantities that you consume because you don't want to be overweight. That is an automatic ticket to chronic illnesses like diabetes and high blood pressure, and those things will kill you. And they will kill you early. What else would I recommend? I think, relationships, community. I think, somebody is disagreeing with my concept of cholesterol. Okay, there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. That I know. There's the cholesterol from things like margarine. Those ones are not good. Yeah, but cholesterol from things like fish oil, or white meats, I think that's not bad. But excessive fat in your diet, I think, is a problem. Yeah. There's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. Yeah. HDL and LDL. I'm seeing him writing. This non-person, non-character. There's somebody called non in our meeting. So diet. Anyway, what I recommend generally is a healthy diet that is rich in all the nutrients that you need for survival. All the nutrients, but let it be heavy on vegetables and fiber. Another thing I would recommend on staying young, quote unquote, because I said it's within a limit. You can only extend how you look so far. It will get to a point where those wrinkles will come, whether you like it or not. This person is saying fruits are unhealthy. Yeah, go away, please. Everything is unhealthy. Even vegetables are unhealthy. Yeah, no, go away. That one is yours. Don't listen to that propaganda from those people online. Fruits are okay. Fruits are actually necessary. They contain very many nutrients. Okay, I'm not going to go back and forth with somebody on the chat. If you have something to say, raise your hand. I was still giving coping mechanisms. Relationships, I think you guys have stressed it many times. I cannot emphasize it enough. Having that sense of community. And I think we build it by finding hobbies, go and look for people who have similar interests and join those communities. So that one. On financial strain, I would recommend insurance, life insurance, and also health insurance. I would also recommend living modestly, avoiding your extravagance, because there's a way people assume, since I'm making money now, I will continue to make money forever. No, don't have that mindset. Try and live modestly and have some savings to take care of you in the future. On losing relevance or being replaced by young people, somebody once said that if you don't like the rules, then create your own game. So here I would advocate for investments, owning property, you becoming a property owner. Our landlord is a baby boomer. In fact, people are always complaining how he's walking around shirtless with all those folded skins. But he's comfortable. I calculated, I think he makes 300 or $250,000 a month from just us, the few tenants who live here. Yeah. So he's good. He's good to go financially because he's invested. And then he's always checking out the property, looking for ways of improving the property and ensuring that we are comfortable. So that keeps him occupied. Or a business, self-employed. If people are biased, if people think that you are old, we can't hire you, then you create your own business where you do things in your own terms. As an older person, there's nothing to stop you. By the way, shed yourself of those limitations that people put on you. You can do anything at whichever age. You remember that student who went back to primary school? She went to get her KCPE certificate and she was gray-haired. Nothing stopped her. So nothing should stop you if you have your mindset on an idea. And also just keep up with stuff. Don't be so set in your ways. Keep up with stuff. If there's a new platform that has come up, get on it. Now, this is a case of do as I say, not as I do. I'm not on TikTok. Actually, I hate TikTok. I felt my brain cells dying the one time I joined it. But get on the platforms or keep up with the trends. Yeah. So, like in my case, I have a niece who is 17. And I remember initially telling her how I hate Afrobeat. But then I started doing workouts, dance workouts in the house. And those dance workouts play Afrobeats. And I realized, damn, those jams are awesome. Nikajipata. Nowadays, I love them. I love Afrobeat. I love Amapiano. I love the Naija. I love Bongo. I've opened myself up to it. So there's no limit at all because you're not Gen Z. Because as I told you guys, I'm a millennial. But you can't enjoy this thing or that thing. Pana, that's a story you've told yourself. As long as you are able to, by all means, indulge. Yeah, so that's it, guys. I don't know if there's anyone who has a final thing to say. Nan, aren't you at least going to say something? Ukohoe kidogo tusikie hii sauti yako. You've commented so much on the chat. Okay, I see other people have raised their hands. We have Morioki, we have Deve. Go ahead, Morioki.
Yeah, 3 words, just 3 words. Respect your elders. Respect your elders.
Morioki, always a man of few words. Okay, respect your elders. Deve?
I think we should keep, as we grow old, we should keep an open mind. That way, it will enable us to learn. It will enable us to face. For those people who fear death, if you have an open mind about death, then you might also start understanding what death is and be more accepting and therefore not be afraid. Just to know that it is a fact. It's only how and when that you do not know, that it's a foregone conclusion. The first thing, when you are born, that's when your death was decided that you are going to die. So, and if we can keep an open mind about that, then in our old age, death wouldn't be one of the things that we have to fear. Yeah, thank you.
Well said. And in fact, you've reminded me for death, personally, I would like to write a do not resuscitate note. If it gets to a point where my infirmity is excessive, I would like to tell my health workers, my doctor, whoever, geriatrician, please do not resuscitate. Let the illness take me, because there's no point clinging onto such a low quality of life. Personally, that's my view, but there are some people who will do anything to stay alive. They'll do anything to stay alive.
Yeah, the bracelet. The bracelet.
Oh, there's a bracelet. Eh?
It's a bracelet. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't think
think
it is necessarily very expensive.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I remember,
think
my first encounter with do not resuscitate. I used to see this lady in her house, and she was, Jewish, very open to conversation, Go, yeah, use my library, read it. Just got time spent it. It was a good job. And he said on the first day, I do not resuscitate. Do you understand what that means? And I had to say, yes, I will. Yes, you will just let me die. That is what it means. Do you understand? And can you imagine? That was scary. But I came to understand her, that she has Parkinson's and she does not necessarily want to deteriorate, to be alive and to see herself deteriorate. She used to love to play the piano and be unable to play the piano. So I understood, but I left her employment before such a thing happened. But I know I would have gone along with it after I had known her long enough to understand that she was all the way from Hitler's Germany and all that. Yes, I understood absolutely, and I said yes. I would not.
you're with her on it, right?
I was absolutely with her. So I think we should not be superstitious. We should not be superstitious people on some of these things. Instead of being superstitious, be open-minded to learn, to find the information. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody, for your contributions to this discussion. Thank you, El Maestro. Thank you, Morioki. Thank you so much, Endeavor. We've learned so much from your contributions. I think Tano said something at the beginning. Thank you, Kalia, although he has now left. And also thank you, Nan, although you were not able to talk. You've mentioned a couple of things on the chat. The problem with me is I'm not gifted when it comes to multitasking. So reading everything somebody posts on the chat is difficult. I rely on those pop-ups when it comes as somebody's typing. So sometimes the pop-ups don't show. But we are glad that you made time, Nan, to join us. And we hope you will join us again. I wish you guys a lovely night. Let's meet next Friday. We are doing a theistic topic, rebutting the rebuttals. An atheist response to theist excuses. That's what we're discussing next Friday. So see you then. Have a good night and a lovely weekend. Bye.